Today, we bring you an extraordinary courtroom story, inspired by the legendary Judge Frank Caprio, a man whose rulings go beyond the law to touch the very hearts of people. Judge Caprio, known for his compassion, wisdom, and keen sense of justice, faced a case that tested both the legal system and human empathy, a case that would leave the courtroom silent, reflecting on the true meaning of responsibility, hardship, and forgiveness. It was a chilly morning in Providence, Rhode Island, when the courthouse doors opened, and a crowd gathered, curious about the trial that had become the talk of the town. The case involved Mr. Anthony Reynolds, a small business owner who had recently fallen on hard times. Anthony had been issued multiple fines for alleged violations related to a minor construction project he had undertaken for his bakery, a place that had been his family's legacy for decades. The total fines amounted to a staggering $50,000, an amount that was nearly impossible for him to pay given the financial struggles he was facing. As Anthony entered the courtroom, his shoulders slumped, and his eyes betrayed the stress and worry of a man burdened by unforeseen circumstances. Judge Caprio, ever the observer of human emotion, greeted him with a warm, reassuring smile, immediately setting a tone of dignity and respect. The atmosphere was heavy with tension as the prosecution laid out the series of violations, meticulously detailing every instance where Anthony's bakery had allegedly failed to comply with city regulations. The language was formal, precise, yet cold, as legal documents and photographs were presented as evidence of negligence. The sheer weight of the fines was undeniable, and for the untrained eye, it seemed like a straightforward case of law enforcement triumphing over a negligent business owner. But Judge Caprio, renowned for looking beyond mere legality, saw more than just a list of infractions. He saw a man struggling to preserve his family's dream, a man trying to provide for his employees and his community in the face of mounting challenges. Anthony's defense attorney pleaded on his behalf, emphasizing that the fines would not only bankrupt him but would also devastate his employees, many of whom relied on the bakery for their livelihoods. There were moments when the attorney's voice trembled with emotion, recounting how Anthony had spent countless hours helping neighborhood kids, offering free bread to those in need, and mentoring young aspiring bakers. Each story painted a picture of a man whose intentions were good, despite bureaucratic errors and oversights. The courtroom audience began to murmur softly, empathy quietly building among those present, sensing that this was more than a mere legal proceeding. It was a human story of struggle and perseverance. Judge Caprio listened intently, his eyes reflecting both the gravity of the law and the weight of compassion. He asked Anthony a few simple questions, his tone calm and understanding, inviting the defendant to explain his side without fear of judgment. Anthony spoke with sincerity, recounting the economic challenges he faced, the emotional toll of managing a small business during uncertain times, and his sincere intention to rectify any mistakes. The judge's gaze never wavered, giving Anthony a rare sense of being heard, a feeling that no fine or legal formality could replace. The turning point came when Judge Caprio, known for his creative and empathetic rulings, decided to examine the broader context. He inquired about Anthony's contributions to the community, his personal hardships, and the long-term impact of the fines on his family and employees. Witnesses spoke of Anthony's generosity, his tireless dedication to keeping the bakery afloat, and the countless small acts of kindness he had performed. One elderly neighbor recounted how Anthony had delivered bread to her every morning for years, free of charge, ensuring that no one in the community went hungry. Another spoke of a young apprentice who had learned the art of baking under Anthony's guidance, a mentorship that had changed the boy's life. Judge Caprio then addressed the courtroom, his voice steady, compassionate, and resonant. He acknowledged the necessity of laws and fines but emphasized that justice was not merely about punishment. It was about fairness, humanity, and understanding the real-life consequences of one's decisions. He spoke directly to Anthony, conveying both empathy and accountability. Mr. Reynolds, the law requires responsibility, and I cannot simply ignore the violations. However, justice also demands that we consider your circumstances, your character, and the impact of this decision on your family and your community. The courtroom hung on his every word, the tension thick yet filled with anticipation. After a pause, Judge Caprio delivered a ruling that would become legendary in Providence. He decided to significantly reduce the fines from $50,000 to $5,000, an amount that Anthony could realistically manage without losing his bakery. But that was not all. Recognizing Anthony's commitment to improvement, he structured a payment plan that allowed for manageable monthly installments, paired with a requirement that Anthony attend a short course on regulatory compliance to ensure such mistakes would not recur. The ruling struck a perfect balance between justice and mercy, accountability and compassion. The courtroom erupted, not in chaos, but in a profound collective sigh of relief and admiration. Anthony, overcome with emotion, could barely speak. Tears filled his eyes as he expressed gratitude, not just for the reduced fine, but for being seen as a person rather than merely a violator of regulations. As the case concluded, the lessons extended far beyond the courtroom walls. Judge Caprio reminded everyone present that laws are meant to serve people, not punish them indiscriminately, and that a fair society is built not just on rules but on understanding, empathy, and human dignity. Anthony's story became a symbol of hope for small business owners, a testament to the power of compassion within the legal system, and a reminder that even in the face of enormous challenges, integrity, perseverance, and kindness do not go unnoticed. In the weeks that followed, Anthony's bakery thrived once more. Customers returned, inspired by the story of his resilience and Judge Caprio's empathetic judgment. Local media covered the case extensively, celebrating both the man and the judge who reminded a city that justice could be firm yet humane, fair yet considerate. Anthony continued to mentor young bakers, provide free meals to those in need, and embody the very values that had touched Judge Caprio's heart. Meanwhile, the story served as an enduring reminder to the community that while laws govern actions, compassion governs hearts. This $50,000 fine case was more than a legal proceeding. It was a human story of struggle, hope, and redemption. Judge Frank Caprio demonstrated through his words and actions that true justice is not blind. It sees the person behind the case, acknowledges the difficulties of life, and allows mercy and fairness to coexist with the law. Today, as we reflect on this courtroom drama, we are reminded that while rules may shape society, it is empathy, understanding, and humanity that define its soul. Judge Caprio's ruling will be remembered for generations not because of legal precedent, but because it affirmed that every person deserves to be heard, understood, and treated with dignity, even in the most challenging circumstances. Thank you for joining us in reliving this emotional and inspiring story, a story that reaffirms our faith in justice, compassion, and the profound impact that a single thoughtful judge can have on a community, a family, and a man determined to keep his dream alive.